Horror movies are extremely popular among true movie lovers. Movies about zombies, vampires, monsters, psychological movies and slashers. Many people like these subgenres. We have prepared a review of 20 horror movies for you to watch in 2024. If you missed our selection of the scariest horror movies of 2024, click the link at the top of the video. Let's start. Our selection opens with a horror movie titled Bagman, scheduled to be released on September 20, 2024. Temple Hill Entertainment decided to please true horror fans with a new movie, starring Sam Claflin. The plot centers on a man named Patrick, who spent his entire childhood in fear that defies understanding. Now, as an adult, his past horrors return, and this time, something incomprehensible is hunting his son. The second movie in our selection. Strange Darling. An American horror thriller scheduled to be released on August 23, 2024. Movie plot tells the story of a young girl and a man. Their next dates become increasingly strange, and as it turns out, the man is a serial killer who kills everyone on the way to his goal. A romantic evening turns into a series of brutal murders and a game of survival. Third movie. A science fiction horror film titled Afraid. Every day, artificial intelligence is becoming more and more integrated into our everyday lives. The movie tells the story of a young man named Curtis and his family. They are invited to take part in testing a new smart home artificial intelligence. A digital assistant called AIA studies the behavior and habits of the family, making their lives easier, but over time an artificial intelligence assistant begins to interfere with their lives. In fourth place is an American psychological horror thriller film titled The Front Room. It was written and directed by the Eggers brothers. The movie will premiere on September 6, 2024, by A24. The Front Room tells the story of a married couple who are expecting a child. When their mother-in-law shows up on their doorstep, requiring constant care, they realize that they have let real evil into their home. In fifth place is a remake of a famous 2022 Danish movie. Speak No Evil is scheduled to be released on September 13, 2024. Movie plot tells about Louise and Ben and their daughter Agnes. They meet a good-natured British couple on vacation. As a result of a short conversation, they receive an invitation from new acquaintances to visit their country estate and spend the weekend there. But a pleasant trip turns into a real psychological nightmare. A 2024 body horror movie The Substance, starring Demi Moore in the main role, will be released on September 20, 2024. An aging Hollywood actress decides to take part in an experiment and undergo a course of body rejuvenation to become a better version of herself. With the help of a new drug called The Substance, your body will become young again, you will become more beautiful, more perfect, but like any other drug, there is also a side effect. Seventh place. An American survival horror titled Never Let Go will be released on September 27, 2024. The world has plunged into darkness, and the only safe place for one family is their home. To stay alive, they must be tied to their home and never let go of the ropes. But one boy decides to break the rules of the family and threatens their existence. The main role in this survival horror was played by Halle Berry. In eighth place is the adventure horror movie Monster Summer, which takes the viewer back to 1997. Teenager Noah and his friends set off to meet a sunny and carefree summer. One day, a frightening incident happens to one of the boys, and the boys realize that supernatural forces are involved. To deal with the emerging threat and save their island, they turn for help to a former police detective, played by Mel Gibson. One of the most awaited horror movies of 2024. Alien. Romulus. A sci-fi horror film directed by Federico Alvarez, the seventh film in the cult Xenomorph franchise from producer Ridley Scott. The film stars Kaylee Spini, Isabella Merced and David Johnson. The film takes place between the events of Ridley Scott's Alien and James Cameron's Aliens. A group of young colonizers Rain Carradine, Kay, Andy, Tyler, Navarro and Bjorn find themselves on an abandoned space station. While exploring the area, they encounter the deadliest life form in the universe. After the successful premiere of the first part of the film The Platform in 2019, we are expecting a sequel to the sci-fi thriller about the world of the future, which will premiere on October 4, 2024, on the Netflix streaming platform. Humanity suffers from a resource crisis. New people arrive into the Hole, a terrifying multi-story underground prison, where prisoners are kept in a strict hierarchy and fed from a platform that descends downwards. 11th movie. An upcoming Canadian psychological horror called Heretic, written and directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. Two Mormon missionaries knock on the door of another house to talk about religion. A pleasant-looking middle-aged man opens the door and invites the women inside to escape the rain. A terrifying game awaits them inside a strange maze house with two exits. And this choice will be the most difficult test of their faith. Disciples in the Moonlight. An American science fiction thriller directed by Brett Barvel. The movie tells the story of the near future, when the Bible has been outlawed in the United States and was replaced by a government Bible. 7 Christians travel to Kentucky, Illinois, and Ohio to bring the Word of God to underground churches. Azrael. An American action horror movie, starring Samara Weaving, will be released on September 27, 2024. Movie plot tells the story of a post-apocalyptic world where people have stopped communicating with each other. One religious community decides to sacrifice a young girl named Azrael. But she escapes from custody and is now ready to fight for her life. 14th movie in our selection. Hereafter. This horror movie will premiere on September 13, 2024. Movie plot tells the story about Claire, a young mother who almost lost her daughter after an accident. Soon, her happiness turns into suspicion and horror because she believes that some dark forces brought her daughter Robin back to life, and now these unknown forces control the life of a young girl. An upcoming American psychological thriller titled Blink Twice is scheduled to be released on August 23, 2024. Young cocktail waitress Frida manages to get into the circle of philanthropist and magnate Slater King. The girl attends parties and meets new people on the businessman's private island, but over time she realizes that something is wrong here. Oddity. A paranormal horror movie tells about a blind girl who is having a hard time coping with the death of her twin sister. She works as a medium and tries to solve the mystery of her beloved sister's death, and the deeper the heroine delves into the dark secret, the more the other world penetrates her reality. The 2024 Canadian slasher, in a violent nature, combines brutal murders with contemplative depictions of the surrounding nature. A special feature of the film is that the events are shown mainly from the point of view of the crime. A dead man named Johnny mysteriously comes to life in the forest as a silent and violent zombie, driven by a thirst for blood and revenge. He slowly makes his way through the wild thicket, killing every unlucky tourist who wanders into the forest. One of the most impressive horror movies of the last few years that you should definitely watch. Longlegs. An American horror thriller movie directed by Osgood Perkins and starring Maika Monroe and Nicolas Cage. Set in Oregon, 1970s. FBI agent named Lee Harker begins investigating the case of an elusive serial killer called Longlegs, who has been operating for more than 10 years. His victims are entire families who inexplicably go insane and kill each other. During the investigation, Harker encounters the occult and discovers a connection between the maniac and her own past. A supernatural horror thriller movie from Netflix titled The Deliverance. The movie is scheduled to be released on August 16, 2024, but on Netflix streaming platform, this movie will be available on August 30th. A young single mother, Ebony, is going through a difficult period in her life and battling her own demons. Having moved into a new house, she thought she could start a new life, but the creatures that live there turn the family's life into a real nightmare. And the last movie in our selection. A British horror movie, The Beast Within, which became the debut work of director and former documentarian Alexander Farrell. This is his first full-length feature movie script, for which he wrote together with Greer Ellison. This is a standalone movie, unrelated to the 1982 horror of the same name. The main role in the movie was played by actor Kit Harington. Thanks for watching this video, we really hope that you enjoyed it. Please, like this video and subscribe to our channel. Soon, we will meet you in a new exciting selection of popular movies and series.